You might be walking around dropping English idioms, totally wrong. And the best part, people might smile and nod, but in their heads they're like, wait, what did they just say? Today, we are fixing 8 super common idioms that learners and even some native speakers mess up. By the end, you'll sound smooth, confident, and un-cringe. So, let's go. I could care less. But it's wrong. Because saying I could care less, this actually means you still care a little. The correct version is I couldn't care less, which means you care zero. As an example, if you say, I could care less about homework, logically it means you have some interest or concern about homework. But on the other hand, if you say, I couldn't care less about homework, it means you have no interest or concern about homework. Even though I could care less is common in casual American speech, it's still logically wrong. For clarity, stick with couldn't.
Done, although I do have one suspicion from when I was 15 that I couldn't care less about now. So I will dump them.
Throughout my entire childhood, in fact, I couldn't care less. When I was
Gothic or Romanesque, I couldn't care less about buildings, ancient or new.
Saying nip in the bud is wrong, because that would mean biting someone's backside. The real phrase is nip in the bud, which means to stop something immediately so it doesn't grow into a bigger problem, like stopping a flower from blooming. For example, let's nip the gossip in the bud.
And that's something you want to nip in the bud and release.
But we may be able to nip in the bud the threatening behavior.
And blood feud, which the Leviathan can nip in the bud.
For all intensive purposes, it's wrong because the real phrase is for all intents and purposes, which means in every practical way. For example, for all intents and purposes, I'm boss here.
Idealized vision of the future that for all intents and purposes we cannot achieve.
1 BC to 180. For all intents and purposes, psychologically, this January 1st is the first day of the 2020s.
But for all intents and purposes, please lift your phone up, lift your eyes up, listen to your body.
Pulling someone's leg. The mistake is using it literally as in actually touching someone's leg. But the real meaning is to joke or trick someone in a playful way. For example, he told me Pansy was moving next door. He was just pulling my leg.
Aired for what's written. So either someone's pulling our leg, or there is...
And I'm like, at this point, you bitches are fucking pulling my leg. But she sends a screenshot.
Now you're just
joking.
pulling my leg. You're just kidding.
Pulling my leg, joking. Yeah, so, go.
Saying on accident in situations that by accident is more correct is incorrect. Why it's tricky? Because on accident is informal American English. In British English and informal context, people always say by accident. For instance,
a little bit, but where every single thing is intentional and nothing is on accident, and we're really excited for it. I think it's
and so sometimes you even get a new battery on accident, right? Because even that's
brushing their arm or tapping the sugar packet on accident, you still decide to shift your...
Back the question. Using it to mean it makes me ask is incorrect. Because in logic, it means assuming something is true without proof. For example, saying he's honest because he says so begs the question. But if you say, this begs the question, why are we doing this? That's when you should use raises the question. If you told me, it makes me ask, use raises the question instead. Saying case and point is incorrect because the real one is case and point, which means has an example that proves my point. For example, I'm bad at cooking. Case in point, I'd point pasta again.
I have to say we're fortunate it's gone smoothly. Case in point would be that
when we get caught up in that. Case in point, clearly we've been calling
democratic values. The case in point I was surprised you did not mention was water.
Saying one in the same is wrong because it's one and the same, which basically means exactly the same thing or person. For instance, my teachers and my neighbors are one and the same.
Then we do have to get some of these other pieces in order. So hopefully they'll see that as one and the same.
We have a lot of good intentions as a nation.
The adversary is a nation state, and sometimes it's a company, and sometimes it's one and the same. We take the threat very, very seriously.
Policy differences. Well, the two are to some extent one and the same. Trumpism is likely to survive the man, and the man.
Alright, confession time. Which one of these have you been saying wrong? Drop it in the comments. No judgment, I promise. And if this was helpful, son, hit the subscribe and see you again. Stay fluent, stay confident.